Hello, guys. You're starting the live stream today with with my MacBook camera because my other camera is charged, but my lamp isn't. And if I don't turn on the lamp, then you're literally not going to see me. It's really dark here, and this neon in the background is going to be um, backlighting me. Hi, Odin. Let me see something. Let me see if I can maybe make this light a little less like potent. Ooh, not that. No. Okay. Maybe this is better. Is it better? I don't know if it is. How do I am, Slava? This is interesting because Jesus Christ. It's not what I'm trying to do, lamp. See, this lamp, I have the same one in New York. And my New York lamp, when I swipe, it gets brighter or dimmer, and this one is not doing that, which is odd. So I'm just not doing something right. Hi, Joe. Hi, Gabby. Hi, Lycos. Hi, John. Hi, Diane. And hi, Juju. My dad is watching The Fury on Netflix. The Fury? Like Tommy Fury? Like the Fury Brothers? What's The Fury? It's like 3 to 4 a.m. for you is all okay there. Yeah, it's 2:12 a.m. You're in the US, so you just switched. Thank you, Afterman. You're in the US, so you just switched to daylight savings, right? Or you turned off daylight savings. I keep forgetting which one is which. And in Ukraine, that's going to happen in like 2 weeks, I think. But also, what is it like? You rewound the clock basically, or you changed the time changed. So I think it's daylight savings time. Okay. So sprung ahead. Yeah. So it's I think it's actually, yeah, if you guys are an hour ahead, then we are 6 hours apart if you're in the East Coast, 7 hours apart if you're Central Time, I believe. I was up at 7 a.m. this morning. That's criminal. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, we're going to have to go through that sometime soon as well. Hi, Justin. The Oscars are on as we speak, so I'll let you know if 20 Days in Mariupol wins. Yes, I was going to say, I wanted to know how I could watch it. Like, what platforms can one watch it on? Because I want to know if 20 Days in Mariupol wins, I kind of want to see Mstislav Chernov's speech. And if it's if someone can tell me where one can watch the Oscars and when they're going to be deciding the Academy Award for documentary or feature film, which I believe it's nominated for both, I can put it on my TV and I can actually show it to you guys when it's happening. So that would be cool. Hulu Live is good for TV and a cheaper option. So my Hulu comes through Spotify, so I actually can't get any so I don't pay for Hulu because I have Hulu through Spotify. And it was like a package deal. And so if I can't do any add-ons, because if I want to do add-ons, then I have to switch it to like regular Hulu first, pay for Hulu, and then pay for add-ons. So I'm not doing that. But Carlos, I know that you will be definitely watching the Oscars, so please do let me know when the 20 Days in Mariupol is up, and we can all figure out how to watch it together and see if it wins. So today was a good day for me. I met up with a friend from Kyiv Independent. We had a really good time. I'm gonna try to so here's the thing. Her name is Masha. How many of you guys watch Kyiv Independence TikTok or Instagram? It's not a trick question. Hi, Chad. Hi, Dave. Um, oh yeah, I'm not paying $60 for cable, Odin. Like I don't actually I don't watch cable enough to do that. I'm not paying $60 for cable. Sorry. I literally I'm not laughing at you. I'm just I thought you'd be like, oh, it's $20 or like $15 or something. $60. Fuck that. I don't I literally I forgot cable exists. I watch Netflix, I watch Hulu. I speaking of, I canceled my HBO subscription. Um I canceled my HBO subscription and I'm so pissed that I did. Well, I now have the ability to renew it, but I'm going to wait till either the 15th or something, so it's on a normal billing cycle, not like on a random day. But I was I canceled it because basically it's location locked to Ukraine. So to the US, you can't watch it in Ukraine. And then I realized that this phone is Google Fi American, and it has hotspot and unlimited internet anywhere. And so when I hook up my TV to my hotspot on my phone, I can freaking watch anything because it's an American provider. So even though I'm in Ukraine, I'm using an American cellular network. And so I can watch anything. And I was like, "Oh my god. Oh my god. It's like a whole different world out there." Um so yeah, so that's the thing. But so the reason why I was asking you guys if you watch Cave Independence TikTok is because my friend Masha is the girl in the videos. And Masha is fantastic, and Masha does a lot of really good stuff, but Masha also wants to film things that are not necessarily educational, but also life in Ukraine, things in Ukraine, and stuff like that. And she can't do that for Kyiv Independent because they're a news publication. So her job with them is to do the news and to film educational material like that. And Masha doesn't necessarily have a TikTok presence herself. She does have an Instagram. And so when I was meeting Masha today, I filmed a little tidbit of us getting coffee and trying a cake and stuff, just because I really want to introduce Masha to you guys. And I want you to go and follow her because she's fucking awesome. Sorry, pardon my French. And she's going to Kharkiv tomorrow, and she's going to be there for like a day filming stuff for Kyiv Independent. And also, I hope that she's going to film some BTS for herself and kind of talk about the things that she wants to talk about that are personal. And so I really want Masha. I really want you guys to meet Masha because she's really cool. And in her, in her videos on Kyiv Independent, she's kind of just a nameless Kyiv Independent girl in the videos. So that's kind of that. Marcus, I'll answer it in a second. Someone was asking if I'm planning on going back to New York when the war is over. You guys, I've been asked this question so many times, and logically. So here's the thing. If I had my logic turned off, by all means, I would tell you that I'm at a stage right now where I don't want to be anywhere but Ukraine. Reasonably, I understand that I can't just give up everything that I've built in the US, especially right after I got my green card, because a lot of you don't understand. I had a 7-year battle for a green card. And I got it in July, and in August, I came home for the first time in 9 years. And I went back to New York, took my dog, and essentially half moved here. The only reason I didn't fully move here is because then I spent 9 years not seeing my family and not being able to come home in vain. And also because there is a lot that I have built, friendship wise and life wise, in New York City, but I, at the moment, don't want to be anywhere else but here. And I see myself as building my life here. I don't want to leave Ukraine. I do logically understand that I should hold on to the things that I have in the US and I shouldn't let them go, and I should, like, kind of try and get get the best out of both worlds. But at the same time, I don't want I love it here. It's like, my home was ripped off from me for like a very long time and I didn't have access to it. And now that I do, and also because it's in such a situation and there is a war and I can be helpful here, like I don't want to leave. So I moved back here, and I normally say that I moved back here. I like, semi permanently moved back here. And by semi permanently, I mean I'm still going to go to the US, back to the US once in a while. But like, I like, I want to be home. Genuinely. The second that you guys were here when I got my green card out of nowhere, and I was just like, I'm buying a ticket home. Like, my first thing that I said when I got my green card was, I'm buying a ticket home, because that's like, I couldn't travel, I couldn't leave the US, and I just wanted to, I wanted to go home. So that was my thing, like, I've lived in the US for 13 years. Like, my all of my formative years were in the US. I've built a life in the US, but it's like, the thing is, I also have a life here, as it turns out. Like, are your grandparents still there? My parents are here. My entire family is here. I'm the only person who's lived in the US. Everybody else, like, has always lived here. And it's interesting because, like, the friends that I had that were my very good friends, a lot of them are still like the same awesome people, and they have grown and developed into an even better people, and we kind of like picked up where we left off, and I love them. For instance, like, one of my closest friends I went to school with, her name is Yulia as well. Um and Her name is Yulia as well. And we've been like really, really good friends all throughout high school and stuff. And also, hi radio, and thank you for the rose. All throughout high school and stuff. And like, we kept up, but not like really super intensely, right? Um and I came back, and it's like as if nothing happened. Oksana, a friend of mine as well. So it was really nice, because when we would have these like little evenings at my kitchen in Lviv. And it was just really nice. It was super nice. And I don't know, it's just like, it's a feeling you can't exchange for anything. And like, it's a feeling that you can change for the world. So, how old was I when I moved to the US? I was 16 or 17. Um, my mom's Georgian, so I have an Eastern European name. That's cool. That's nice. Um, Don, Heroyam Slava. And as to your question of whether your wife wants to go and visit her family in Kharkiv, do I think it's a good idea? I can't tell you if it's a good idea or not, because I don't want to take like, it's not, I don't want that responsibility. What I can tell you, however, is that Kharkiv gets shelled all the time. And for instance, like, Kyiv, people constantly keep telling me, like, oh my gosh, it's so brave to move to Ukraine during the war and stuff like that. And it's like, I mean, there is merit to it, right? But I'm in Kyiv. Kyiv has the best air defense out of the entire country. It's the capital. The president's office is here. Like, uh, all of our political leaders are here. It's the capital. All of the leaders from other countries come here. We have patriots here. We have irises. We have vampires. Like, we have the best. Kyiv has the best air defense. Kyiv gets shelled quite often. There actually hasn't been an airstrike in a while, which is odd. I'm gonna jinx it, and I also know something horrendous must be coming. But for the most part, like, the attacks get intercepted and taken down. Usually, the damage is caused by the debris. Also, by the time that's not to say it's not dangerous or there is no damage. There is, and it's caused by the debris most of the time. But there hasn't been like a straight hit in a very long time. Also, being in Kyiv, when Russia launches airstrikes, you will know way in advance. when you have all of these channels on Telegram that report basically like, oh, so there is a group of Shaheeds heading towards like central Ukraine, and then they'll tell you that it's heading towards Kyiv, and then you will know. And when the air raid starts, you have time to go to the basement. You have time to go to the bomb shelter. You have time to basically figure out what to do with yourself. In Kharkiv, it's not like that. The air raid usually turns on after something has hit. Or if you're lucky uh, and the air raid turned on before something hit, then you have about a minute to get to shelter. Because Kharkiv is 30 kilometers from Russia. I don't mean from the line of contact, I don't mean from the line of fire, I mean from literal Russia. And airstrikes, like there is just no way to notify people ahead of time. And Kharkiv does not have good air defense. So I can't tell you whether it's a good idea for your wife to go visit, because it's her decision that she needs to make. It's hers and yours, but mostly hers, and you need to support whatever decision she makes because her family is there and it's something she wants to do. But before she does that, she needs to be informed at what she's putting herself through and what she's consenting to. Because Kharkiv, Zaporizhia, Mykolaiv, other prefrontal cities and cities close to Russia have it the worst, and it is truly dangerous, and it does get shelled often. Don't stay at a hotel because Russia targets hotels and places of mass gatherings, especially of journalists. Do look at the neighborhoods that usually get shelled most often, or where the debris falls most often, and try to stay somewhere that isn't that. And also, of course, let her talk to her family and weigh all the pros and cons. So that's the thing. I can't tell you whether it's a good idea or not a good idea. That's something that you guys should decide for yourselves. But I can give you as much information as I can, and I can answer all of your questions. But but her family can probably do that for you as well and do an even better job at it. Did you know English before moving to the US? How did you learn it? My favorite question. I mean, actually, I don't hold it against you. It's just that I get asked that so many times that I feel like a robot repeating it. I started learning English when I was like 4 or something like that. It was in Ukraine. I learned it from a person who was a native speaker who did not speak a lick of Ukrainian. So I started learning English when I was a kid. And that's why my English is quite native. Yeah. So technically, I speak English the same way a native speaker would, but I do have a semblance of an accent of some sort because obviously, like most of my existence, even though I spoke English fluently, I spoke it in a country where English is not spoken. So yeah, I think in English, actually, when the dog bit me, my natural reaction was to like say, it's all right, it's okay in English, even though it wasn't okay because, because it was like like horrendously painful. But I was just, like I was so shell shocked that I didn't know what to do. Now, speaking of English, when you're around people like your friend from the Kyiv Independent, do you two talk in English or Ukrainian? So all of the people that speak English or have been living in English speaking countries, I normally speak English too, because I can actually express myself way better in English than I can in Ukrainian. Now, Masha has lived abroad for 8 years. Part of it was in the US and most of it was in Australia. So Masha speaks English as well as I do. And she did not learn it since she did not learn it from childhood. She actually started learning it, I guess, started intensively learning it in 8th grade or like in 7th grade or something like that. But she speaks English like very well. And she also is a little more comfortable expressing herself in English because she moved to a foreign country like during somewhat formative years. So her and I do speak English to each other. It's actually funny because like we were sitting at this cafe today, and so when we were ordering, we were obviously talking to the waitress in Ukrainian. But then we were talking to each other in English, and the guy who was like bringing out our order had no idea that we even speak Ukrainian. And so he came up and started speaking to us in English, and we like didn't know what to do, so we just responded to him in English. And then this other girl would come up, and we would to like talk to her in Ukrainian, and then he would come up, and we would like talk to him in English because he would start like addressing us in English. And it was just like such a funny and messy situation from like it was just really funny. And I normally don't know what to do in these situations. So for instance, this happens to me every single day. When I'm in the elevator, Cinny is an English speaking dog. Okay. And like when I tell Cinny to sit or wait or do whatever, I do it in English because she does not speak Ukrainian. She knows one word in Ukrainian, and that's come here. And that's like her sort of drop everything and run to me word. And I wanted it to be in Ukrainian because I wanted her to like, I didn't want like Americans to know what that means. So if I need my dog to like come to me and like drop what she's doing, it's in Ukrainian, right? Anyways, that's the only thing that she knows in Ukrainian. Everything else is in English. And so we're in the elevator, and I will be like talking to her in English. And so I'm like, and there was this like situation where this like very sweet guy, like young, was standing in front of us, and he was like looking at Cindy and Liv, and I was like talking to them in English and telling them to sit and stuff. And he like looks at me and he's like, excuse me, these two French bulldog. And I'm like, and I'm standing there, and I like don't want to be rude, right? Because like I know it's hard for him to like speak English, evidently. Also, I know Ukrainian. I'm Ukrainian. He's Ukrainian. Clearly, he knows Ukrainian, but he just addressed me in English. I also don't want to be like a crazy woman who speaks Ukrainian and for some reason answers in English. I also feel like if I answer in Ukrainian, this dude is going to be like, why the fuck is she talking to her dogs in English? And I'm just like, and so just standing there, and I responded to him in Ukrainian that these are, in fact, French bulldogs. And he was very confused. And then I proceeded, as he was standing there, kind of frozen, the door opened, and I told my dogs that we can go now in English. And they started, moving and left the elevator. And this poor dude was standing there, kind of like confused. And I'm just like, what do I do in these situations? Like, do I just like respond in English and pretend like I don't know what I'm doing? Like, what do I do? What do I do? So yeah, so yeah. Also, these are so you don't really see you don't really see Liv because she's kind of camoed over there, but that's Liv right there. And you guys don't see Cindy on TikTok because she's over there, but Cindy is also kind of camoed, but she's a little better. She's visible a little more. So this is Cindy. And then this is Liv. And also, today I was trying to film a cute video from like, so you know how I told you that I'm trying to film more like, oh, like come eat in Kyiv with me, which I realized I eat so much here because the food is like so good. And I want to like show it because it's fantastic food. But so today I was like, you know what? I've never done one of these like cute little like wake up videos and then like go about my day and show you Kyiv type of videos. So I tried to film a very cute video of me waking up because I was in bed, and I went and put the camera in front of my bed, and I was like, come on doggies. And I was like, I'm just going to film like the morning thing and then like take you on like my errands around Kyiv and then introduce you to Masha. And it'll be like a great video because, like it'll be real life and you will see Masha and I will be able to like introduce her. And so as I was filming my morning video with the dogs, it was anything but cute because Liv decided to try and eat Cindy. So I will demonstrate that to you. This is what I have to deal with about once a week. Hey! Okay, you get the gist. It's really bad. But then I did make it into like I did end up editing it into like a funny kind of making fun of myself type of intro to the video, because I basically edited it like in a way where it's just like me waking up, the dogs jump on the bed, then I pet them, and then it's like rah! So basically, it is a very realistic day in my life. Because if it wasn't for my dogs fighting, and it was just like me waking up and like all cute, just being like, hi, day in my life, whatever, it would not be realistic. And this now is realistic, because that's that's genuinely very much out of my day. How much is an apartment rental in Kyiv? Varies, just as in any city. It varies by the neighborhood, by a lot of different things. If you were asking how much I pay for my apartment, I don't feel like that's information that you need to know. Apparently YouTube didn't want me to find you. Thank you for the different take and perspective. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Oh my gosh, people from Rick. I mean, most of you guys came from Rick to YouTube. Oy, but new people from Rick, which is super nice to meet you. I love Rick's community. Rick is really sweet, and Rick's community is really sweet, which makes sense because Rick is really awesome. So the people who watch Rick are awesome too, which is not it's not weird. But yeah, so that's kind of what I guess this was like a kind of little um little not deep dive, but little kind of like surface scratch of what I'm trying to sort of do with videos from now on. I'm gonna try to like post more content that's about like Ukraine and Kyiv and cultural things and museums and things that you can do here, because obviously I'm going to continue talking about the war most of the time, and like my live streams are all about the politics and the news, but I do want to give you like a perspective of what like living here is like. Oh, hi Kat. Oh my gosh, good to see you. The dogs went off the way my raccoon and fox did this morning. Must have been something in the air today. Oh my gosh, it's something in the air with my dogs all the time. Zinni, hey, come here. Come here, bud. Come say hi. Zinni, come here. Zin, come here, bud. Oh, hello. Hello, buddy. Zinni, do you mind? Let me move you a little closer. Okay, this is Zinni. The super unhappy thing in the background that's like super unhappy that the attention is not on her is Liv. So yeah, I'm gonna pet her for just a second, then we're gonna talk about what the fundraiser is at, and then we're gonna start the news. We're gonna start the news, right? Look at how pissed Liv looks. Look at how pissed she is. This dog was like sound asleep. Look how pissed she is. Sleva. 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 Liv. Sleva. That dog's face. She looks like a little demon. Okay. I just thought it'd be like a funny little thing for you to witness, because that's this is also everyday life. Oh, she definitely in her feelings. Oh yes, she has lots of feelings and they're big. She tried to eat Cindy today, and I mean like it was actually kind of scary. And I'm super tired of these two dogs fighting. I am not happy and I'm not excited about it. Okay, little demon baby. You don't want to disclose what you're it is much cheaper than the US. It's also the capital city, so rents here are the highest, Nicole, and it's much cheaper. It's, yeah. I mean, like, okay, I'll tell you this. You can find an apartment in Kyiv probably starting at $400 a month. It's not going to be like super central, but that's like a normal price, I believe. Sin? Sin? I don't have a car, so I can't, I was choosing between. Sin. Okay. Hi, Armin. So the fundraiser is at $12,540 even. So that is $2,460 away from reaching the goal. If you would like to donate to the fundraiser, which is for 6 DJI Mavic 3 Pro drones for 3rd Separate Assault Brigade. The link to do so is in my bio on TikTok, or one of the mods will send you the link right here. And if you are on YouTube, then I'm going to conveniently show it right here on the screen. There was another question that we have 5 drones for now. Yes, we are $40 over. Yeah, we are $40 over 5 drones. So we're $40 into the 6th drone. Hi, Gunnar. Also, there was another question and I forgot what it was. Am I blanking on something? I feel like I'm blanking on something. Cindy, why do I feel like you're about to make an upset noise for no reason? Just curious, do you speak any other languages besides English and Ukrainian? I do. Also, all of your donations that are going to come during the live are going to be announced and added to the total in real time. I think that was the longest fundraiser you did. Yes, I'm very emotionally attached to it. So they're going to be added to the total in real time. Oh, Dave, thank you. And it started strong with a $5 donation from Dave. One sec. So we are at 12,545. Can we get it to 12,800 tonight? That would be $255. I think. Yes. Just curious, do you speak any other languages besides English? I do. I speak Polish, some German, some Italian. I did speak another language, but I choose not to, and I absolutely despise that language because it was imposed onto us Ukrainians by a neighboring imperial force. Also, Sin, oh my gosh, I love you, but that's so inconvenient. Let me try and plug in my camera. I think I'm pretty sure the lamp probably charged enough. She's also good with accents. No, I'm not. Oh my God, John. Seriously, like putting me on the spot like that? How dare you? It's so annoying. Like, why would you do that to me? Yeah. So there is that. I'm gonna plug in my camera. The trolling accent. Oh, the bullshit Russian accent, basically. I just try to speak to them in a manner they will understand. Settings, let me see if I can do that. Boom. Ooh, look at that. Now it's like, moody, and the lighting is like moody. There is like an atmosphere. No, you haven't missed the news. We're about to start in the news. So yeah, okay. Mala is a border guard. She's a combat medic and a shooter of a mobile firearm team that hunts Shaheds. Today, there are tens of thousands of people like her. Some have been in the army since 2014. Some joined after February 24th, 2022, and some are just starting their military career. Doctors, shooters, cooks, instructors, women side by side with men stand in defense of Ukraine. After all, our strength is in unity and equality. And this is her. Wait. Okay. First, TikTok. This is her. Second, YouTube. Also, let me just do this because it's going to be much more convenient for me. I'm going to move the phone over here. And I'm going to move the mic over here. And that way, yeah, I don't have to this is probably much better. $10 from John. Thank you so much. So we are at $12,555. Yulia, you're wrong because when you talk to trolls, you use words with more than one syllable. You know, trolls can't understand words longer than that. Actually, you know what? We were talking about something very, very interesting. I was on a Zoom call with this very interesting person who's like a huge advocate for Ukraine in the U.S. and he kind of like he talks with senators and like he basically advocates for aid. He explains situations. He's like I can't really say more than that, but he's a very, very, very phenomenal person. And we were talking about the fact of how we missed the information war with MAGA Republicans. Because, for instance, I've noticed that with MAGA Republicans, when I yell at them and tell them they're stupid because they don't see how much they're fucking up, they get angry and they want to prove to me that they're not stupid. And by that, sometimes I actually successfully get them to understand where they went wrong in terms of like seeing Russia and Putin and like all of these things, right? The problem with talking to people like MAGA Republicans is that the reason why Trump got them is because he was saying very simple things meant for idiots. And I mean that is really, really true. And I don't mean to be like mean or dismissive of anyone, but the reason why he chose such like language, the reason why the slogans, the reason why all of these things is because, and he said it himself, like he thinks people are dumb and he wants to appeal to the dumb people. And that's literally what he said himself. And that's what he's done. He like yelled, he talked very loudly about like in these very simple terms, while politicians usually use very exquisite language. And so when I talk to like MAGA Republicans who love Putin about like Ukraine and why they're wrong and why Russia is a genocidal maniac, right? I quickly realized that I'm not getting through to them. Here's the thing, explaining that like actually the US helping Ukraine is helping the US financially because most of the money stays in the US and it creates jobs is really not a talking point these people are going to get because they don't understand how the economy works. Like they genuinely don't. So, and I'm also, when I say MAGA Republicans, I don't mean all the Republican electorate. Let me be very clear here. I mean the MAGA Republicans, like the diehard Trump Republicans that are still voting for Trump. Okay. And what I've realized is that the best way to talk to MAGA Republicans about Ukraine is literally in the same vein in which Trump was talking to them about Russia, and in the same vein that trolls are talking to them about Russia. Like, you know how trolls are like, Ukrainians are Nazis, right? Fucking tell them Russians are Satanists, and so is Putin. They are. They're like burning people alive. They're burning children. Satanists. Come on. The Grista fascists are gonna love that. I mean, this is like a very out there. This is like a very out there sort of example. But realistically, this is like the type of language that they understand. Explaining to them, like explaining exquisite things, and exquisite is used as like an exaggeration word here, right? But explaining things to them in complicated terms, in terms of politics, in terms of greater good, in terms of what that's going to do to the economy, in terms of all of these things, it's just simply not going to work because people don't understand how the economy works. They don't understand any of these processes. They react to emotional things. Like, for instance, you know how the majority of the MAGA people are like, they're going to take away our guns. Like, we need the guns for, like, I don't know, for protection against the government. And, like, a lot of normal people think that too, but that's not what I'm trying to say here. The thing is, has anyone ever drawn a parallel to them where, like, yeah, sure, they think Putin is a cool dude who's killing Nazis in Ukraine, right? But what he's also doing is that in Russia, like, you can't protest, you can't say anything, you can't do anything if you disagree with Putin, right? Trump has said on multiple occasions that he loves Putin and that's his like role model. So for instance, for these Republicans, it's like for the MAGA ones, it's like, okay, cool. So once Trump doesn't like what you're saying and the fact that you are disagreeing with him, he's going to take your guns away, right? And he's going to do the same thing as Putin does to control his population. I think that it's like it's all in these simple comparisons, and like obviously I'm not like I'm not talking about rocket science here. It's very evident, but I feel like we often forget that mm, in order to like appeal to that type of crowd, you have to speak their language, and that's Trump. Also, Armin's quote of the day. Um, they can stomach agreeing with mainstream normies about anything. Well, hey, there you have it. Putin is a Satanist. That's not normie. Also, if you can tie that somehow to QAnon, mm, there are plenty of dumb boomers in that crowd, et cetera, et cetera. But in my opinion, the biggest thing endearing them to Russian propaganda is contrarianism. Well, it's also like Russian propaganda is literally designed to be contrarian, right? Because it's not designed to actually tell you something you believe in. It's designed to tell you a ton of things that contradict themselves, because there is going to be a person that's going to relate to one of these things. So they're like similar but different. Like his reasons for invading Ukraine, right? Like there were 50 of them and none of them made sense, but they're relatable and would resonate with someone. So that's the reason why they push out so much propaganda that contradicts itself, because it's meant for different people. Like different people are going to relate to different parts of this propaganda. Also, one second. So Armin's quote of the day is up, I believe. Let me scroll back to it and I'm going to read it to you. Armin sends a quote of the day every day, and I really love them because they're always very relevant. A different language is a different vision of life. Federico Fellini. Learn as many languages as you can so that you experience more of life. Yeah, that's what we were talking about on Rick's live today, where like language is power, right? And it gives you power to understand people better, because in their language you can kind of understand localisms better, and you can sort of learn the culture from within, even if you speak just a little bit of it. And that way it's easier to get along with people, it's easier to bond with people, it's easier to make a better first impression and stuff like that. So yes, language is power. What language do you want to learn? Portuguese. I would love to learn Portuguese, and I would like to learn like Swedish maybe, or Norwegian, or so here's the thing. I would like to learn either Estonian or Latvian or Lithuanian, but it would be a really hard pick, because all three of these countries have been incredibly helpful to Ukraine. And I feel like picking one of the three is just offensive to the other two. So I don't know. Do you know Spanish? No. Ma io parlo italiano. How many languages do you know that's concerning? 6. Young people can understand that the Holodomor was wrong. Then next, that Psycho Stalin hated democracy and opposition, so exterminated 27 million. Then that imperialists mainly want to take land. Yeah, but you know, like some people misattribute imperialism. Like for instance, there are lots of like far left tankies that will use that will say that America is imperialist, and they will like simp for Lenin and Russia and like the Soviet Union. And it's insane because they just hate everything American. So everything that hates everything American to them is good. And that's crazy. They're enforcing financial gun control in Ukraine while giving everyone in the US the right to carry a concealed weapon without training or a permit. Double standards and the hypocrisy of idiots rule. Oh yeah, I mean, don't even get me started on all of this. It's like kind of like, oh great, so Republicans want to keep your guns with you as a right, but then they want to take away all of your reproductive rights, all of you, like literally your right to form your own opinion, your right to speak out against the government, like everything. And then you know what? Once you do start speaking out against the government, because you're going to finally start realizing that, wow, all of your rights and freedoms have been taken away, they're going to take your guns away too. Fun. I want to learn Greek. Oh, Greek sounds cool. I love Portuguese. Try to learn Finnish. Yeah, Finnish is difficult. You speak 4 so far. Ukrainian, English, German, Italian, Polish. I also know a language. I know 6. I speak 5. I guess you can guess yourself what is the 6th language. I noticed that Ukrainians often call Russians some non-Slavic Finno-Ugric tribes. I find this offensive to Estonians and Finns, who are Finno-Ugric people. Okay, so Russians do come from Finno-Ugric tribes that settled on the territory of Moscovia. They also come from Mongolians and like the actual like Muscovites, which is what Russia originally is a mixture of Mongolians and Finno-Ugric tribes. But it's not like, no one says that, and no one says that with disrespect to Finnish people. It's just the tribes that settled on that territory, and they didn't even want to be a part of like whatever bullshit was going on there. I know 2 dialects of Arabic and English, but I'm good at math. That's cool. Listen, Arabic is awesome. Dratil helvete Putin? Only thing you need to know in Norwegian. I probably butchered the pronunciation so bad, so Niels, do correct me, please. Pretty please. Because I know I know that I probably butchered it. I hope 20 Days in Mariupol wins the Oscars tonight. I hope so too. Carlos is actually watching out for it, and he's going to let us know what's going on there. Okay. Ukraine is ready to take further steps to unblock the border, restore export and transit of Ukrainian products, said Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal at a joint briefing with Executive Vice President of the European Commission, Valdis Dombrovskis. After Putin sounds perfect the way you said it. Really? Aw. Dratil helvete Putin. Dratil helvete Putin. Fantastic. Love it. We paid special attention to trade and agricultural issues. Ukraine is ready for further steps coordinated with neighboring EU member states and the European Commission, which will ensure the unblocking of the border, restoration of export, and transit of Ukrainian products. This one's very interesting. Unidentified drones attacked Russia at night. Aw. Sad, isn't it? The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation reports that they allegedly destroyed 47 drones over the Belgorod, Volgograd, Kursk, and Rostov regions. Russian telegram channels and media write that a fire broke out in the Beriev Taganrog aviation and scientific complex due to the debris of the drones, but it was quickly extinguished. 2 more drones were found on the territory of the local metallurgical plant. So like heavy machinery plant, without damage. An employee of the Ministry of the Emergency Situations of Russia was also injured. So when they say 47 drones were taken down, that could mean 2 things. One, they're exaggerating, and it was a way smaller attack than that because they love saying they've taken down like, 1,085 drones. But or it could mean that the attack was way bigger than that, and they only managed to take down like a portion of the drones, which was 47. But I do tend to believe that they're just saying they took down 47 drones. It's like it likely wasn't nearly as many drones as they're saying, but they like to just exaggerate the numbers of the attack that they've repelled. So I would say that that's something like that. Also, you guys have been asking me about a little while ago, a couple of you have asked me what I think about St. Javelin as a company to like buy from to support Ukraine. And I said that they are, they're cool because like they donate profits to Ukraine and Ukrainian initiatives, but also so do most Ukrainian brands. And the only reason that they sort of like the reason why they shut up so quickly is because the reason why they shot up so quickly was because they were the first to sort of to start doing that, to donate. You know, they were the first like foreign brand who made things that were that were that were that were that made things that were Ukrainian themed and that was donating like large amounts of money to the army. Most Ukrainian brands from the beginning of the full scale invasion donate about 20% of their profits to the Ukrainian army, or to various causes connected to Ukraine and the army and defense and stuff like that. So that's not like St. Javelin is not unique in that way anymore, nor was it really ever. It was just facing a Western market, and Ukrainian brands weren't. And like, I'm not shitting on St. Javelin here, does a great job. I'm just saying you don't have to buy merch. You can buy actual nice clothes and like jewelry and things like that. And those brands still donate to the army. So so a portion of the money you spent will still go to the army instead of like, spending it on just merch. So, but there is a merch site. If you go to Instagram, or if you go to a website called, you know what, I'm gonna actually show it to you. I'm gonna screen share. I'm gonna screen share it on YouTube because a Ukrainian person founded it. And it's really good looking, cool merch, and it's not that expensive. It's not nearly as expensive as St. Javelin's. And I personally really like it. I think it's really cool. One second. It's called wanderlust.com.ua. And it's still merch type of stuff. But in my opinion, it's much cooler. So it's a Ukrainian YouTuber who used to have a travel show, traveled the world, and he has like really cool things like these. He also you can also buy prints from the Liberovs, the photographers that most of the famous Ukrainian photos of Ukraine during the war were taken by Liberovs. So you can buy those postcards there, the aviation ones, the infantry pack. They're phenomenal. And you also can, so it's wanderlust.com.ua. They also obviously have merch because that's why I brought you here. And they're actually really cool. So this is Ukrainian alphabet. This is a hoodie with a Ukrainian alphabet in the back. Sorry, you guys on TikTok are nuts. Oh, actually, I can show it to you. Sorry. I'm like, you know what? I am not being smart about it. So this is Yi, the letter Yi that Russia doesn't have. So, some of these are very simple and some of these are just the brand. Oh, hi, Darza. And so they have cool merch. I mean, it's not nearly as like widespread as St. Javelin. Doesn't have nearly as many like options in terms of like, super Ukrainianized merch. But these are, this is the stuff that Ukrainians would wear, which I don't know if most Ukrainians likely wouldn't wear most of the St. Javelin stuff because it's very like, it's overly Ukrainian, but they would wear this. So just FYI, they also have a shopper bag that says Patron on it, like the Patron dog, the bomb sniffing dog. Yeah, Wanderlust is a cool name because he had a travel channel, or has a travel channel. He just has been concentrating on Ukraine's on activism about Ukraine. So yeah, and Libcos is amazing. So it's two. It's not is amazing. They are, because it's a couple and they're Liberovs. Reasonable price estimate 1,000 UAH is $27. Yeah, it's actually like very, 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 very reasonable prices. So I think you guys are gonna have I think you guys are going to have a fun time on that website. And I really hope that you like some stuff, you know. And he's been doing a ton of like amazing activism for Ukraine and helping Ukraine a lot. He's been fundraising for Ukraine. He actually went to New York, and he happened to be fundraising for a specific goal when he met the owner of Vaselka in New York, the Ukrainian restaurant, and had no idea this was the owner of Vaselka. And they started talking, and he told him about the fundraiser, and the owner of Vaselka donated $20,000 on the spot to his fundraiser, and that was like phenomenal. So yeah, so it was like the coolest thing. All right. Hi, Jason. So thank you, Alti. So we are at $12,555. If you would like to donate to the fundraiser, which if you can, you should. We're so close to the goal. Can we get it to 12,800 tonight? Maybe, potentially. Big ask, but could be fulfillable. You can donate through my link in bio on Instagram. You can click on my the beacons.ai Yulia. I'll show you. It'll bring you over here. Thank you, Alti. And you go here, and there is PayPal, Venmo, Revolut, all types of payment methods, and Monobank. And Martin, did you do it just now? Did I miss it, or did I announce it? Because there was a $5 donation and then a $10 donation. Those are the ones that I announced. And if you sent it during this live after that, then I didn't see it. Then just tell me what it was, and I will add it up, because I might have been talking and missed it, in which case I'm so sorry. Hi, Dave. Again, does Russia know the price of life? Russia doesn't care for life at all. And on YouTube, you can donate right here. That's the link. I once talked to Russians who were supposedly against Putin. Yeah, okay. I was probably on the screen when you mentioned it. Okay, cool. Who were supposedly against Putin, but when I suggested to them that maybe they could go on a countrywide strike, they became very rude, said they didn't want to lose their jobs. Yeah, of course. I mean, like, they don't want to get Alex makes a difference and then go. What do you mean? They don't want to get, like, here's the thing. They want a revolution to happen without them. Like, they want someone to come fix everything for them, and then they'll come back once everything is fixed. They don't want to pay the price for freedom, and they don't want to work to be free. What would you say to Putin if you had the chance to interview him? I would not interview him. Here's the thing, like, I legitimately have no interest in him. Like, I have no interest in him. It's so funny because people have asked me this question so many times, as you might know. Like, I love I'm actually just announced it. Wait, just announced what? Just announced what? 20 Days in Mariupol won the Oscar. Oh my gosh. For wait, which category? Which category? Which category? Which category? Which category? Feature-length documentary? Feature-length documentary. Oh my god. No, I mean, the reason why I'm like, yes, the documentary is gut-wrenching, but like, the reason why I'm so happy about this is because it won, way more people will way more people will watch it. And also, so for those of you who are interested in 20 Days in Mariupol, I have an interview, which is the reason why I was saying many of you know that I actually love conducting interviews, and I consider one of my greatest strengths is as an interviewer in terms of reporting, because I don't like asking people the same questions that everybody else asks. I usually have like a particular interest in particular parts of like Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point is, on my podcast, The Press Lounge on Apple and Spotify, I have a I have an interview with Mstislav Chernov, the creator of 20 Days in Mariupol, and it is a phenomenal interview that I think many people should hear, because he's a very humble person who explains his motivation behind staying in the city that he thought he would never get out of, and how he doesn't think himself a hero, and that it was his responsibility to show what was happening, and there was like no other way than to stay there and film it. And yeah, and the reason why I'm so incredibly happy that it won the Oscar is because that means that so many people are going to watch it. So many more people are going to watch it. And it's like it's gut-wrenching. It's horrendous. I watched it once. I will never watch it again. I couldn't. First of all, like for me, the first 5 minutes of the movie were already unbearable, because they were showing like these blasts of news that were happening all over the world on the first day of the invasion, and I was in New York when that happened. So for me, the invasion started with my phone screen and my computer screen being filled with these like headlines and these videos of people talking about how there were tanks coming to Kyiv, and there were bombs falling into Kyiv, and there was like a full-scale invasion, and Russia was like shelling Ukraine from all over. And so for me, it was so triggering, and that was the least of it. And that was the least of it. Like, this was just the beginning of the movie, of the documentary. And that, from that part, I was already bawling, crying, because that is exactly how I experienced the beginning of the full scale invasion. I think the problem is that the sanctions did not hit Russia nearly hard enough, so everyday life did not become hard enough for regular Russians, and so they have no incentive to resist the regime. No, everyday life for regular Russians have been shit this entire time, and they don't mind it. That's the thing. It's like the sanctions have hit, and their everyday life has become worse, but also Russians are spineless. And like, if you look at history, none of Russian revolutions were started by the people. It was always another leader, a new leader coming in and organizing the people to take over the previous leadership. The Bolshevik Revolution. Like, it is legitimately never the people. Where can you find it? 20 Days in Mariupol is on Prime Video. It's also on PBS if you're in the US. If you're not in the US, get VPN and watch it on YouTube. If you mean the interview, then you can go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Google Podcasts, and you can look up The Press Lounge. That's the podcast, and there is the interview with Mstislav Chernov that I recorded in New York a couple of months ago. I met him during the premiere, during a screening of 20 Days in Mariupol at the Ukrainian Institute in New York. Wait, do we have more than one Niels? Hello, Niels number 2. Wait, I did not know that we had more than one Niels. And also, like, this makes me so happy that 20 Days in Mariupol won. I really want to see. I'm gonna go on Twitter because I want to see Mstislav's speech, because I believe it was powerful. One second, I'm trying to find it. I don't see it yet. I can't find his speech, his acceptance speech. Which is wild, because Twitter would have it. Let's see. You can send it to me? Sure, send it to me. That would be lovely. Oh, okay. Okay, that's just mm, no.
Lisa, Michelle, Brady, Daryl, thank you for making this film with me. Thank you for helping me in this journey. This is the first. This is the first Oscar in the Ukrainian history. I'm honored. But probably I will be the first director on the stage who will say, I wish I would never made this film. I wish to be able to exchange this to Russia never attacking Ukraine, never occupying our cities. I wish to give all the recognition to Russia not killing tens of thousands of my fellow Ukrainians. I wish for them to release all the hostages, all the soldiers who are protecting their lands, all the civilians who are now in their jails. But I cannot change the history. I cannot change the past. But we all together, I'm on you, some of the most talented people in the world. We can make sure that the history record is set straight and that the truth will prevail, and that the people of Mariupol and those who give in their lives will never be forgotten. Because cinema forms memories, and memories form history. So thank you all, and thank you all. Thanks to Ukraine. Slava Ukraini.
Well, the thing is, like, I feel for every word of this because it's like, I through through doing the news like this and through building this channel and this community and all this, like, I've met so many phenomenal people and I love all of you, but if not meeting, but if not moving here and never having met any of you meant that Ukraine would never have been invaded in 2014. I, I feel for him. And like that's one of the things that we talked about in the interview is that is that it's a very bittersweet situation because I asked him how he feels about the fact that, like, this movie, this documentary about human suffering, and that it's nominated for an Oscar, right? And that, like, how does it even feel? Because like, you've created something horrendous, right? And it's not that you've created it, you've filmed, you've witnessed, and you've documented something horrendous. And that's the work that is being nominated for an Oscar. And how does that feel? And it's gut wrenching. It's gut wrenching because I'm sure that he's so proud that his creation has just won an Oscar, and that a Ukrainian director has been has has won an Oscar for the first time in Ukrainian history. And the reason why is because one of our cities was destroyed and carpet bombed to the ground, and many more too. And he happened to stay behind and risk his own life to film this horror of destruction happening. So he won an Oscar for showing to the world the human suffering of Ukrainians going through like the monster that Russia is. And and that must be like that must be such a double-edged sword of a feeling, because on the one hand you just won an Oscar as a director, you made a masterpiece, but that masterpiece is built on human suffering of your own people, you know? And don't get me wrong, he fully understands it. Like, he, this movie was not this documentary was not nominated for an Oscar for like the ego of it. It was not nominated for an Oscar for like his own personal gain. It was nominated for the Oscar because once you win it, or once you're even nominated, the stage from which you show it, so many more people see it. And it's so true, because once it got the nomination, I've started seeing all of these Americans and people all over the world like filming themselves in awe, talking about what they saw, that would have never watched it before, because they don't talk about Ukraine. They're just random TikTokers, you know? But they watched it because it was nominated for an Oscar. And the worst part of all of it is, like, watching all of these people shiver and be so impacted by 20 days in Mariupol, because what you see on the screen in that documentary is absolutely just gut-wrenchingly horrific, but it's only the first 20 days, and what you don't see on that screen is infinitely worse. What you don't get to see, because they miraculously happen to survive and be able to leave, what you don't see is really like the worst parts of it. A friend of mine, Vlad, call sign Wikipedia, who was in Mariupol. He's from Azov, and he was there. He was in Azovstal. He was he he's great, and I'm really thankful to him. I he When I asked him, in last time I was in Ukraine, like before I fully moved here, before I went back to New York to get my dog, I asked him, "Have you seen 20 Days in Mariupol yet?" And he said, 20 days? Why would I watch it? I was there for 2.5 months. The first 20 days were peachy. And I will never forget it, because he's right. He was there for 2.5 months. He was there for 85 days. And 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 it only got worse from there. And it's not to say that the first 20 days were nothing. It's just that, compared to what came after, the first 20 days were nothing. So when you watch the documentary and you see the horrors on your screen, just remember that what you are seeing is infinitely better than what you're not seeing. I'm just going to take a second to breathe for a second. Oscar, when should increase pressure on Congress to pass the bill to release the 60 billion? I hope they watch it. Okay, so how do I am Slava Lucid? And yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Thank you, Chad. I appreciate it, but I'm okay. That's the thing. I am absolutely okay. And that's like, I'm okay. My parents are okay. A lot of people in Ukraine are okay, because those people in Mariupol aren't, because the soldiers aren't, because a lot of civilians in captivity aren't. So it's one of those things where I am a-okay. I Compared to a lot of Ukrainians, I am doing very, very okay. So I don't, like, there are many more people who are who are much less okay than I am. I'm happy about the Oscar reward. That's such a recognition of our struggle. Yeah, it is. That's what we've been talking about this whole time. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because on the one hand, it's this phenomenal sorry, my lamp died. On the one hand, it's this phenomenal film that documents history as it happens in real time. Like, this is one of the things. Normally, documentaries are about something that happened in the past. If they're documentaries about historical events, there are documentaries about something that happened in the past. This is a documentary that's very unique because it documents an atrocious historical event as it's happening. And it's also narrated by one of the victims of this historical event. And the person who is filming this documentary is also the subject of the documentary because they face all the same danger and struggles as the people in it. The only difference is that they chose to go there and stay, and the people in the documentary didn't. And that's what he says. He says in the interview with me that, and in a lot of his interviews, that, he doesn't consider himself nearly in as much like kind of as unfortunate as like most of the people that he was the subjects in the documentary, because he chose to do this and they didn't. They were trapped. And even though realistically they were all trapped under bombs and under under shelling, under Russian invasion and in Russian encirclement, the people of Mariupol didn't choose it, but he chose to stay there. So yeah. Oh, that's awesome, Martin. I don't really know, I don't really know where to go from here with the news. This was like the perfect time to hear about the Oscar. Hi, Juan Hardley. But also like this is just some stuff that kind of, Добрий вечір. Добрий вечір. That tank scene pointing at the hospital. Yeah. Well, the thing is also, this documentary makes you feel like you are witnessing it in real time as it's happening. It's just like, I don't know, I remembered watching the documentary and I, just kind of brings like a lot of thoughts into your head. Hi, folks. Just came from Rick's stream. He said to come see you. Well, thank you, Rick. We were just talking about 20 Days in Mariupol because it had just won feature-length documentary Oscar. I want to write something to Mstislav, but I obviously will think about, what it is. The agreement in the state border between Ukraine and the Russian Federation by Putin in January in Kyiv, ratified by the parliaments of both countries. Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, it was also ratified. It was also the borders of Ukraine were internationally recognized. So what Russia is saying, this is not even. This is like literally not even part of the question. It's just the Oscar will bring attention that is good. I think. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Like it is good, and that's the reason why this was done to begin with. But yeah. So Alti actually said a quote with which the documentary kind of starts. And Stislav says that he was told once that wars don't start with explosions, they start with silence. And it's so true because you kind of, like we call it calm before the storm. And that's kind of how you should think about it. It's calm before the storm. Um, but yeah, I really hope that watching 20 Days in Mariupol will help a lot of people understand what Ukrainians en masse have gone through, and I hope that it does translate that it's not just Mariupol that has gone through this. It was also Severodonetsk, it was Bakhmut, it was Avdiivka, Soledar, a lot of Ukrainian cities, and it's really incredibly just devastating that our first Oscar as a country and our first, just generally, you know, we get to win a gold medal through people watching how we suffered and how we continue suffering. And it's just, it's very on par with our history and it's very on par with how we are as a nation, really. But it's just really sad because, even our anthem is that we are going to, that we are going to once again prevail against the invaders. And our entire history is just fighting and suffering. No, the documentary is created because everyone needs to know the truth. Yes, the documentary is created because everyone needs to know the truth, but the point is that we got an Oscar for the truth of the whole world watching us suffer. Well, in addition to the message, it's just a very well-made documentary, very immersive, in the sense that it left me with an ugly and uneasy feeling afterwards. Yes, it is. It is a very, very, very well-made documentary, provided that it was also shot on a field camera. And Mstislav just did a fantastic job, and his team did a fantastic job. And it is a very well-made documentary. Actually, he talked a lot about the filming and editing processes behind the documentary, right? And that it was supposed to give you this feeling that you couldn't escape. It was supposed to trap you. And it was supposed to make you feel like you were there. It was supposed to be intense. You were supposed to feel intense. And if you go to, one second, if you go to Spotify, for instance, and or Apple Podcasts, and you look up the press lounge. One second. I did an interview with Stislav, and I think it is genuinely like it's a phenomenal interview, not because I am phenomenal, but because he is. And Here, I'll show you. Okay. This is the podcast. One sec. So, 20 Days in Mariupol, Mstislav Chernov, October 31st is when it came out. Russia didn't think that Ukraine would strike first. They just used that as an excuse. And so you can listen to that interview because he talks a lot about sort of like the processes behind the making of the documentary. And it's truly, I don't know, I think he's a very, very interesting man. And I think it's important to also listen to him and to his motivations and sort of like what he thinks. So yeah. Is it in English or in Ukrainian? It's in English. All right, you guys. On the one hand, it was, it was fantastic news that 20 Days in Mariupol won the Oscar. On the other hand, also sort of like, it's a very heavy thing to think about. It's also 3:40 in the morning as per usual. Today's fundraiser, well, not today's fundraiser total, but we raised $15 today. And our total is $12,555 out of 15,000, which would make, so we are $55 over. We are $55 into drone number 6. So we are almost at the goal. If you would like to donate to the fundraiser, you can do so through this link. Or if you're on TikTok, you can do it through my link in bio, or Grumpy or someone will likely post the beacons.ai link in the comments. Hi, Giddy. Good to see you. And thank you. And oh, thank you, Niels. Thank you for gifting 5 memberships. I really appreciate that. Hi, John. And yeah, I think that's about right. It's about the right time to say goodnight, because it is very late, and I do have to wake up at a decent time. And yeah. Thanks, Liv. Good night, guys. All right. Good night. Good night, guys.